Alright guys, here we are for another episode of Twilight Zone Season 3, Episode 31. This is an interesting concept.
Great concept.
And a lot of the parts of the execution, though, kind of annoy me.
Kind of a mess.
Yeah, you know?
Episode's kind of a mess.
So the episode features two old people, and, you know, the man's in constant pain, and, you know, they're presumably going to die at some point soon, because they're in their
So that's how it works. Yeah.
Indeed. And, they have the option to trade in their bodies for new bodies that are just like on display. You can pick the actual body, and I thought that was interesting. So it's not like there's a model this is the T-75, and there's a bunch of people that look all the same. It seems like everyone does get an actual
a new
potential
unique person of some sort.
I wonder if they were people that died of like some natural cause or something, and they were able to revitalize the body and make it usable again.
To jump to my final thoughts, that's like the sin of this is that the premise and the concept opens itself up for like a feature-length film that explores like the darkness behind like what does this mean or whatever, right? So watching it, like this is like an old sci-fi thing, right? You're gonna do the into a new body or whatever thing, and like there's a lot of there've been a lot of other things that have a similar premise that go in some direction. Like, oh, it's just copying, so the old people are still old, but they're trying to hide that, and the old guy's like, help, or something weird thing, and it's like, what the fuck? Oh my god. Or like you're saying, right, that like the sources for the bodies, it's like, oh no, they're like genetic clones. It's like a perfect thing. And then like he goes to the store, and some old lady's like, George, and he's like, what, man? What are you talking about? He's like, oh, you went missing, and he's like, what? And then it's this, oh my god, and then it'll like end with a Michael Bay thing where they're like running, and it's like running on catwalks, and there's like explosions happening for some reason because that's how movies work. This though, we have 21 and a half minutes. We like waste most of it. We fuck up several things, and then it ends.
It's interesting. So that they find out that it costs $5,000 a person, and they only have $5,000 total.
Yeah.
So they say like, oh, well, one of you could get it, and the guy is in constant pain and like 6 years older than the girl. So I'm like, okay.
No, yeah,
like you could do it and then try to work really hard and get the money, and then get her, because it doesn't matter if she lives to be 100. It doesn't matter when she gets it. It transfers her totally to the other body. So I'm like, okay.
And you'll have like a 10-year gap in your eventual new lifespan. That's magical and perfect.
But you'd have roughly the same gap you had now.
Such a minor. That's like exactly.
And I thought
that was my thought the
been
entire time.
I didn't remember this episode at all if I hadn't seen it.
I didn't even know it
in my
existed.
head, I'm like planning. I'm like, okay, so that's gonna happen, and then like the twist is like she dies before he gets the money or something. I'm like, that'll be tragic. Or him like doing some craziness trying to make money as like this new young man gets killed, and like that's the twist. It's like, oh, he was young, but he died from some bullshit or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Which they even dabbled in, but they did it all wrong. Where he's the old man, right? Because like literally, I would have been like, I could have, this would be easier if I was in like an immortal clone body instead of my frail old body that's constantly seizing up and like ruining my life or whatever.
So he takes the 5,000 he has after they say, no, not one of us can do this. We have to both do it or none of us. And he's like, I will gamble this money. He's not a proficient gambler. He's just a man who's like, how can you make money? This, obviously.
I need to turn a small amount of money into a large amount of money very quickly.
And that's almost a twist, too, where it's like, oh, the gangster with the heart of gold, and like, folds his aces and says, like, oh, here you are. And you think at that moment, it's like, oh, is this pot going to be 10 grand? And that's the twist?
Okay, so, like, did you, like, the way he was saying it, that's $5 Pops, you walk out with $5. I'm like, is that his original $5 or, like, a new $5? Did he just win it or something like that?
He had lost 2,500, and now it is a pot for the last.
I didn't follow the money exchanging correctly, so I thought maybe he, that was him getting his like 10 grand, but then obviously as the conversation continues,
and it had to be slightly more than $5 because of the positions at the table they were at.
Yeah.
Like they could not have both been the big and small blind. And I know you wouldn't quibble over
what do you know about poker?
I've played poker.
Ridiculous.
So you wouldn't. I don't know what their buy-ins were and all this jazz. So like
I know every person sitting there
quibble over
shoves
pennies.
money into the middle.
Yes.
And therefore, yes, it should be more than his 5,000 that he put into the middle.
At least slightly.
Possibly 25,000. Again, I have no idea how poker works. But yes, this kind of subverts your expectations. It's kind of nice. But if you took it out of the episode, like it has like zero.
It had no impact whatsoever on the episode itself.
It's just this weird diversion. The episode has to be about him coming to the realization that he needs to switch bodies anyway, and then for some reason that's bad. Or we cut that part out, and like he's in his new body, and she's like, "Oh, it's wonderful," and then slowly like, "Oh, it's not wonderful. Oh no!" And then he says,
"That's what you needed more of."
You know what, Martha? I'm going back or whatever, right? They tried to do both, and it doesn't work.
But you like the ball's really dropped by the poker game in itself, because you gained nothing other than like, oh, there are nice people in the world, or whatever you want to say, but you lost like 6 minutes of the episode to something that didn't actually further the plot at all. So you could have taken that 6 minutes and put that into 6 minutes of him being the younger body, and give her a reason to be like horrified and whatever.
Yeah.
Her flip tune there like happened so instantly, and it was filmed weird too.
Yes.
Where I was like, is she dying? What is happening right now?
I felt like they cobbled something together in editing somehow or something like that. It felt super wrong and weird. There's no dialogue. She doesn't get to say anything about why she's like overwhelmed and it's so bad. He just implicitly understands that this means he has to run away and undo the procedure. I'm half autistic. I was like, what is going on? Is this an art film?
So he's explaining how good the future's going to be, and she's realized, I can't do any of that stuff. Oh, I'm horrified.
Until we get a couple grand, let's go.
They
bitch.
also did never establish like you're next, babe. Like it was kind of just like,
which
okay,
is,
here's
again,
our money.
like,
one of us is good. This is fine.
I think that we are logical people, and you outlined it all at the start, right? He like wishes he could work again, but he's in too much pain.
Yeah.
He's older than her. She fucking says, "Go for it, honey. You can do it. It'll be great. You give me a piggyback ride." Like it was all good. They should have shook hands and walked out of there.
Yeah.
He should have carried her out, and it should have been done, right?
Or if you're going to end it on a more horrible note and have him come out and like say all that stuff and go, but I can't. You're hideous to me now. Yeah, I could totally bag anybody.
That was the other direction that I was thinking we were going to go in or something like that. And then like the salesman guy has like an angle in as part of that too, where he's like, yes, this often happens, but don't worry, man. We have a place where you can go and like stay. And then there's like there's just a bunch of like old people somewhere or some shit like that. Like it's like the fake near future where like nothing's quite great, but there's these amazing things starting or whatever. So you get this weird like you could do a lot with that. This does nothing with that. I was very upset.
I was trying to mentally wrap my head around how much $5,000 was then, and I meant to Google what the conversion rate was. But just thinking about things in this episode or in this series where we're seeing like a person gets their tire changed and it's like $7 or
it's
whatever.
Like I'll take a hamburger, a milkshake, a side of this, and some fries, and the lady will have a whatever. That's 18 cents, pal. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
So like $5,000 potentially wouldn't be impossible for him to make before she died, but you'd have to try. Like you have no other options here.
Exactly.
Either you're both going to die, or maybe you both live for 100 more years.
Because that's a fine sci-fi thing too. We can just do these all day, right? Mm-hmm. He becomes more and more desperate for money. She's getting sicker and sicker, right? He like does some crime or like whatever, and gets someone accidentally dies, and then he's left holding the whatever, and he gets like life in prison, right? In his new body that'll last 112 years, and she's visiting him and like crying, and they're both whatever. It's this like Black Mirror fucking shit or whatever.
There's a lot of things
we
they
can
could
do
have done.
Anything with this, and
I also thought maybe he'll try to rob a bank now that he has a new young body and see what happens.
Exactly.
What does he have to lose?
Because like
he was gonna die, she is gonna die.
Yeah, because with more time like that, right, you can like develop these things.
Yeah, like if you had 6 minutes of like a poker game.
Only you had like a few extra seconds, but like really, this is the kind of plot that would benefit. So like. When there's a plot that would benefit from being a feature-length film or even like a series, right? You just have to pick one thing, right? Guy dies, shoes get put on a new guy, he's that guy now. The shoes are possessed, he's out for revenge. It's going to happen again and again and again. Great, little tiny concept, right? Maybe not by itself enough for a whole movie, but a world with those shoes and those gangsters and that stuff you could develop into more things, right?
Sure.
This took a little from every column and tried to shove them all together into this thing where
you could take a lot of Twilight Zone episodes and merge them into one series where there's like an X-Files type through line. And they're like, oh, I got to blah, blah, this. Well, this happened, and like whatever it was, and this could fit into that easily.
Exactly, like Black Mirror even has that episode where the guy has like the museum. You could have the museum where there's like the shoes, and I can't think of anything else from the show, etc., like on display or something like that. I don't know. This is a disappointing episode. I wrote like I hate this in like my notes or something like that.
Like the episode itself was like fine, like as a 21-minute this escape from life. But when you really think about it,
kept me occupied.
It had a lot like. I think I thought more, like I spent more time thinking about how it could have been better than I did enjoy the episode. And but in itself, that did give me more time and more enjoyment because I was thinking about a thing.
Sure.
And that, and like the concept got the wheels turning. And for the for the 60s, this was probably like holy shit. But we've seen a lot more things. There's a lot more media out there, so we are jaded.
We're old hat at this. Yeah. What are my 3 pillars? The premise, the performances. And the something with a P that means mindfuck, something at the end where you're like, oh no, because like the premise is great. The old man's performance was pretty good. I got the idea that he was in a lot of pain, and his like delivery felt like a real old person. It was like cool, but and the salesman was good too.
I wonder if the old man was actually that old, or if there was like a crazy amount of makeup on him.
Aged him a bit. Yeah.
It's hard to tell in a lot of these things. Like you can tell when somebody is made to look younger because like they're caked on with shit that you can actually see.
Yes.
But I'm like, I don't know what their olding.
It's like you look kind of like an owl. I don't know if you're a real old man.
You look kind of like a claymation person.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a episode, but it had potential.
Right. I really want like. It has to be really good on its like execution to outweigh the lack of like a twist ending. We're trapped in the thing now forever because you were greedy and you didn't let the thing whatever. Like without that, where I go, oh yeah.
Well, that's the problem.
It's hard for me to.
There were 2 happy endings inside this episode, and that's too many.
There was a happy middle and a happy ending in the Twilight Zone, which I'm not against happy endings.
No, every now and again you need that heartwarming story, but I didn't think this was like it didn't feel like that heartwarming moment where I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was just like, come on, really? You just threw away everything.
Like the guy whose dog helps him steer clear of hell and walk to heaven in like the fake Southern afterlife or whatever. That was delightful. Right? And cool performances and cool ideas, and it was fine. Right? It's not just that it's a happy ending. It's that there's no like yes, I didn't expect him to just immediately switch back without exchanging a single word with his wife about her problem with the whole thing. But that's because that's bad. All right, whatever. Good time.
All right, guys. So that's this episode of Twilight Zone. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.